Okay, folks, this one's really tiny. Let's see if I can make this one turn up a treat. See how we go. Definitely need to go up to 400 for this. Okay, let's see what this is. It is a badge. It says, I dump your ass. Netflix. Oh, I found this on the side of the road with a whole lot of stuff, and there was 4 of these, badges stuck to the packaging still. So I took this one out and decided to use it in this demo. So I'm just going to try and might just put a bit of paper behind it. I'm aware that the black toner is running low. It was going to run low soon, so I'm going to try and conserve it. Do this with a white-ish background. Yeah, that looks really quite nice and colourful. I think we could enlarge it a bit bigger and make it into a movement piece. Netflix. I'm pretty sure lots of people now in lockdown are going to be binging on Netflix for sure. Nothing else better to do, really, but to escape into the movies. I'm not a movie person, folks. I do watch YouTube when I'm not doing work on my campaign, which I'm doing here. I do watch YouTube and shit like that to pass a bit of time. But I don't spend money on Netflix. I'm just not interested in all that sort of movie length shit. I'm really missing a lost loved one, and I'm trying to get this stuff to go viral on the social media. And it's really not as easy as it looks. I get more pornography related comments on my YouTube page. You know, the old VOM, IND and all that sort of shit. I always seem to get that rather than anything remotely constructive. I just get these destructive comments, and they can be destructive apparently. If you click on those VOM and all those sorts of comments, I don't know what it does, what it exactly does to your computer or to your YouTube page, but apparently it's destructive. Highly destructive. You just get all sorts of... I'm not going to try it. I don't get them as much as I used to. I think YouTube's clamped down on people sending that kind of spam, because it's spam and it's deadly to your desktop, or I don't know. But it really annoys the shit out of me. I get so annoyed at these people that for some reason like to do that. But how do they avoid getting damage done to their equipment when they're dealing with this stuff directly? You know, being one of the people spreading it. I mean, seriously. And what sort of money do they make out of it? Being doing it. I don't understand why they do it. Why they send this stuff everywhere, this VOMIND, this BED, and all this sort of dumbass cryptic shit that I don't understand. I just got that on the edge, but we're not going to worry too much about it. Going to make this into a movement piece. But yeah, I just get so annoyed at them for doing that, that they decide they want to be destructive with these porn sites, and that's the thing, folks. Why you got to avoid clicking onto that shit. You're not going to get much joy out of porn. So I'm going to make it 141.4. So yeah, I'd rather stay away from those comments, folks. I don't know whether it's advisable to delete them or just simply leave them. I think YouTube's dealing with the problem, as I said, or have been dealing with it, because it's been a widespread issue, apparently. I'm not the only one that's had to deal with all that shit. So let's see how we go with this. Anyway, that looks really quite interesting. Going to make this into something more interesting. Just trying to decide which one I'll be working with. I'll be turning this into something more exciting. I'm going to use this and I'm going to create what's often ends up as what I'd call a marbled piece. Let's see how we go with that. That looks shit house. Doesn't look like what I was after. Looks like it could be something, but not quite. Maybe I can lighten the darkness a bit, make it a little bit less heavy. So I'm just going to put it like so. And that scanner's making some noise. Horrible sound. Yeah, that looks interesting, but it's not what I'm after. Although it could be something, but no, not quite. I'm actually thinking maybe we could stretch it on the vertical and maybe make that into something different, because normally we work along the side, but now we're just going to use maybe the vertical. I'm going to make it a vertical enlargement. We're just going to put these items there, but basically I'm just going to try and do something a little bit different. I'm just going to put this up there. So the horizontal is probably going to stay pretty much 104, and the vertical looks like is going to be maybe 210. We're going to make it. I don't know how this is going to look. Annoying noises. This photocopier makes lots of annoying little sounds. Let's see how we go. We're not going to let it get to me though. Yeah, that looks interesting. Yeah. Maybe we could stretch it further. We'll see how we go. I'm going to enlarge maybe along the horizontal as well. So maybe the horizontal will be 190 and this vertical will remain the same. I do hope this photocopier doesn't break down, because I don't know if technicians are allowed to visit because of the pandemic, because of COVID-19 rules, because we have to obey the rules as much as we can. It's not just about rules, it's about safety, it's about people not getting infected as much, sort of trying to control the numbers of cases, because it's critical that the case numbers drop before we leave this lockdown. I do think maybe we're going to leave it on that. And even with this lockdown, the case numbers just keep climbing, and it's really distracting, just really upsetting me, folks. I just wish more people would take the AstraZeneca vaccine, which is commonly available now and does a good job. I know that there are worries about, fears about the ice cream van still doing business even during the lockdown. Fuck me dead. Hopefully, I hope he's not breaking the law. But basically, we have to we have to keep. What was I saying? I've lost my fucking train of thought. But basically, it looks like we have to try our best. I've forgotten what the fuck I was meant to say. Sorry, folks. That ice cream van. Well, it's a positive thing to see. It's nice to see an ice cream van, and that hopefully people in lockdown will be able to go outside for a moment and grab some fresh ice cream. Thinking maybe I did it wrong. I'm trying to enlarge this section out. Instead, I seem to be enlarging along I'm using the wrong. I shouldn't have been doing the vertical. I was meant to do the horizontal. So I'm going to make the horizontal to 210, and the vertical has got to go back to, I think it was 190. But basically, it's nice to see a little bit of hope. I'm just hoping that the ice cream van is bringing putting a smile on people's faces as we are in a month into lockdown, and all we see are rising numbers of COVID cases, and it's really discouraging. You know, you take all the trouble, you follow the rules, and there's always someone doing the wrong thing who's fucked it up. So, you know, it's really difficult dealing with a lockdown, not knowing the time frame. They give you time frames like a week or 2 weeks, but then they just get blown away by the sheer number of people. Instead of going towards zero, we're forever leaving zero in the dust. You know, zero, and we keep getting all these cases that are infectious in the community, which is what the authorities are trying to fucking reduce. You know, they're trying, folks. They're getting a bit... fuck me dead. I'd hate to be someone having to fucking give the bad news about the numbers of people suffering from COVID. You know, I'd hate to be that person to have to do that. It's a horrible job, you know, and you don't... And there's been protests against this lockdown, and yeah, it must be really hard for the people who have to enforce it. But, you know, the show must go on. I mean, shit, I don't know. I can understand, you know, I can understand being the person who has to bear the bad news, and I can understand how it feels to be... I can get a feeling that the protesters are also frustrated. But they shouldn't be doing that. What if they make it spread even further? But, it's not good for anyone having to deal with this lockdown and this disease, except we all have to get vaccinated. We have to take AstraZeneca because it's the only one that's in large supply. We don't want to waste it. And, the likelihood of dying of a blood clot is 1 in every million, whereas a car crash, you know how common they are and people die. Anyway, that's really quite interesting. I think now we can call this demo quits.